When ChatGPT became publicly available in 2022, it sparked one of the fastest technological shifts in modern history. Almost overnight, artificial intelligence could generate realistic images, write software, analyze data, produce videos, and carry out assignments that previously required entire teams. The possibilities seemed endless. Businesses quickly recognized the opportunity. If AI could complete work faster, operate around the clock, and cost significantly less than human employees, companies had every incentive to adopt it. And they did.
Meanwhile, the front page of the Wall Street Journal has some new reporting on the wave of white-collar layoffs, with major companies like Amazon, UPS, Target announcing cuts, slashing thousands of corporate roles. In their statements, companies cited in part growing pressure to operate more efficiently and to embrace the use of artificial intelligence.
Organizations began integrating artificial intelligence into nearly every part of their operations. Customer support, software development, marketing, finance, administration, and even food service were suddenly being reshaped by automation. But the same economics that made AI so attractive also created a serious problem. Layoffs accelerated. Departments were downsized. Thousands of positions disappeared. Artificial intelligence was no longer simply helping workers. In many cases, it was replacing them. Technology companies were among the first to make major cuts. But the disruption did not remain inside Silicon Valley. Fast food restaurants, call centers, logistics companies, financial institutions, and retailers all began experimenting with replacing routine labor. The logic seemed obvious. An artificial intelligence system could perform the work of several employees in a fraction of the time. It did not require health insurance, paid leave, office space, or retirement benefits. Most importantly, it appeared to be cheap. However, something unexpected has started happening. AI is becoming extremely expensive.
Big tech is scrambling to slow down its use of AI. Major companies have already exhausted their annual budgets, and some say it's getting more difficult to justify the costs. Get this, one consultant told Axios a client accidentally spent $500 million on AI in just a month. The unnamed company failed to put usage caps on Claude licenses for its workers.
The expenses have become so significant that some of the world's largest companies have started limiting access to certain artificial intelligence tools. Microsoft reportedly restricted employee use of Claude Code after concerns emerged about the amount of money being spent on the service.
I spoke with a VP at Nvidia who first flagged this to me. He said, oh yeah, for months, our costs for my team have been more for AI than humans. So that was the first flag. And then we started to hear this coming out in droves. Uber's CTO said,
in some cases, annual budgets have been consumed in only a few months. Executives who once encouraged employees to use artificial intelligence at every opportunity are now being asked to explain whether the financial returns justify the expense. That raises an important question. If AI was supposed to be faster, more efficient, and less expensive than human labor, how did it become more costly than some of the people it replaced? Artificial intelligence has existed as a field of research since the middle of the 20th century. But for decades, most AI systems remained limited to specialized laboratories, universities, and corporate research departments. That changed in 2022. Generative artificial intelligence suddenly became accessible to almost anyone with an internet connection. For the first time, ordinary users could describe an idea and receive an essay, image, computer program, business plan, or detailed analysis within seconds. Companies saw the technology as a historic opportunity to reduce operating expenses. A system capable of completing the work of 10 people at a fraction of the price sounded almost too good to be true, and in many cases it was.
You have a software engineer or AI researcher and you pay them $500,000 a year. We do that all the time. Okay, this is happening all of the time. That $500,000 engineer at the end of the year, I'm going to ask them how much did you spend in tokens? And that person said $5,000. I will go ape something else.
Yes.
Right. If that $500,000 engineer did not consume at least $250,000 worth of tokens, I am going to be deeply alarmed.
By 2023, businesses were not merely offering AI tools to employees. Many organizations were actively pressuring workers to use them. Artificial intelligence usage became a corporate priority. Employees were encouraged to automate more tasks, create more content, generate more code, and demonstrate that they were using the new technology effectively. To measure that activity, companies began tracking tokens. Tokens are the units artificial intelligence systems use to process information. Every question entered into a model consumes tokens. Every answer generated by the model consumes additional tokens. Longer documents, complex coding assignments, detailed research, image generation, and video creation can require enormous numbers of them. At first, token usage was simply a technical measurement. Then it became something else. Inside certain companies, consuming large quantities of tokens began to signal productivity. Employees who used more artificial intelligence appeared to be embracing innovation. Teams with higher usage numbers could claim they were leading the company's transformation. Eventually, some workers began using artificial intelligence for tasks that did not require it, simply to increase their recorded usage. This behavior became known as token maxing. The idea was simple: use as many tokens as possible. But every token has a price. For ordinary text generation, approximately 750 words may equal around 1,000 tokens. More advanced activities, such as analyzing large databases, generating software, producing images, or operating autonomous agents, can consume far more. By the end of 2025, token maxing was becoming increasingly common across the technology industry. Software developers were using artificial intelligence for basic assignments, minor edits, short emails, and problems they could have solved manually in less time. Part of this behavior was driven by statements from influential technology leaders. Nvidia's leadership, for example, strongly encouraged developers to embrace artificial intelligence and increase their use of computing resources. That position made sense for Nvidia. Remember this?
I'm going to ask them how much did you spend in tokens? And that person said $5,000. I will go ape something else.
Yes.
Right. If that $500,000 engineer did not consume at least $250,000 worth of tokens, I am going to be deeply alarmed.
The company sells many of the advanced chips required to train and operate artificial intelligence systems. Greater AI adoption creates greater demand for Nvidia's hardware. But there was a flaw in the overall strategy. Some of the apparent demand was not connected to meaningful business activity. It was being artificially increased by employees attempting to meet internal expectations. At the same time, companies were announcing massive investments in data centers. These facilities require advanced processors, cooling systems, electricity infrastructure, networking equipment, and enormous amounts of construction material. But shortages of critical components have delayed many projects. A significant number of planned data centers have reportedly been postponed, scaled back, or canceled. This creates a complicated situation. Artificial intelligence companies continue to claim that demand is far greater than available supply. But analysts are beginning to question how much of that demand represents genuine business use. How much comes from companies producing measurable economic value? And how much comes from employees generating tokens because higher usage makes them appear more productive? These questions matter because artificial intelligence pricing depends heavily on supply and demand. When demand rises faster than computing capacity, the price of accessing that computing power can increase, and that is exactly what has begun to happen. The average price companies pay for large language model usage has reportedly increased significantly since 2025. A change of only a few dollars per million tokens might appear insignificant. But large corporations do not use a few million tokens. They use billions, and in some cases, trillions. When tens of thousands of employees interact with artificial intelligence systems every day, small increases can translate into tens or hundreds of millions of dollars in additional annual spending. Imagine that an employee consumes approximately $200 in tokens every week. Over 50 working weeks, that equals $10,000 per employee each year. For a company with 40,000 employees, the total could reach $400 million. For a company with 90,000 employees, the cost could approach $900 million. AT&T, for example, reportedly processes billions of tokens every day. At that scale, artificial intelligence is no longer a minor software subscription. It becomes one of the organization's largest technology expenses. The rapid increase in enterprise adoption has been extremely beneficial for the companies selling artificial intelligence services. OpenAI and Anthropic have experienced extraordinary revenue growth as businesses deploy chatbots, coding assistants, research platforms, and autonomous agents. Anthropic has reportedly targeted a major increase in annualized revenue as enterprise customers expand their use of Claude. But the money earned by artificial intelligence providers represents money being spent by their customers. And many of those customers are discovering that their budgets were not designed for unlimited AI usage. Don't take my word for it. Here's the CEO of Perplexity saying it.
Your laptop. People are tired of token maxing and paying $500 million a month on, whatever frontier model tokens that are running on the server. I think what you really want long term is really high token value per watt per user. And I think the best way to do that is to orchestrate intelligence, accuracy, privacy, and costs all simultaneously.
Organizations that expected artificial intelligence to reduce expenses are instead seeing their technology bills increase. Some companies are now reaching the point where the economics are no longer obvious. Is it still cheaper to automate the work? Or would it cost less to hire someone to perform it? Microsoft provides an important example. An internal message from one of the company's senior executives reportedly told engineering teams to reduce their use of Anthropic's coding tools. The initial explanation was that Microsoft wanted employees to use products within its own ecosystem, including GitHub Copilot. However, reports later suggested that cost was also a significant factor. Claude Code was useful, but widespread employee usage had become difficult to control. Other companies appear to be confronting the same issue. Meta reportedly consumed tens of trillions of tokens within a single month. Depending on the model and pricing structure, activity at that level could represent hundreds of millions of dollars in usage expenses. This is creating major challenges for corporate finance teams. Artificial intelligence expenses are often unpredictable. Traditional software is commonly sold through fixed annual licenses. AI services, however, are frequently priced according to consumption. The more employees use the system, the larger the bill becomes. Executives increasingly expect technology budgets to rise. A large portion of that growth will be connected to artificial intelligence infrastructure, agents, models, cybersecurity, data centers, and cloud computing. Some forecasts suggest AI could eventually represent more than 1/5 of total enterprise technology spending. Global spending on artificial intelligence agents and models is also expected to grow dramatically over the next several years. But many of these forecasts assume that current pricing will remain relatively stable. That assumption may be unrealistic. The leading artificial intelligence companies continue to spend enormous amounts of money on processors, data centers, electricity, research, engineering talent, and model development. Several major providers are still operating at a loss. For years, investors have helped subsidize the cost of building and running these systems. That funding allowed AI companies to offer services at prices that may not reflect the full cost of providing them. Eventually, investors will expect profits. And when artificial intelligence companies face greater pressure to produce financial returns, prices may need to rise. The possibility of future public offerings could intensify that pressure.
But I'm going to take you all the way back to the late 90s, the dot-com bubble, which did then burst, it then popped. We are now approaching the levels we saw around that period of history. It doesn't mean we're in a bubble, it doesn't mean it's going to pop, but yet again, it's another indication that's worrying investors, especially when you consider that a really big chunk of the S&P 500, its value is made up of tech companies that are spending big on AI.
Artificial intelligence providers may be required to demonstrate that their business models can generate sustainable profits. There are only a limited number of ways to accomplish that. They can reduce the cost of computing, they can make their models significantly more efficient, or they can charge customers more. If token prices continue increasing, the economics of automation could change quickly. At some point, organizations may discover that the tool designed to replace an employee costs more than the employee did. This is not merely a theoretical possibility. In certain industries, it may already be happening.
Regret that they laid off human workers for AI. What are the companies getting wrong here?
It can't replace. It is a tool, right? And I actually think that the reverse should be happening right now. I think they should look at AI and productivity tools to increase workforce development and increase the workers, because now you can create much more output when you actually properly train your staff to use AI as a tool. So maybe you can 2x, 5x, 3x, 10x maybe your workforce output, and then you can hire more, which means you can get more clients, right? You can get more projects. You can sign, especially with your consulting world, you can sign up and get more clients and more consultants. So I think they're recognizing that, whoa, AI actually cannot replace the human experience. It can be additive to the human experience.
For basic data entry, the financial difference may be much smaller. And in customer service or call center environments, human employees can sometimes remain less expensive, particularly when AI systems require extensive supervision and technical support. Artificial intelligence systems also make mistakes. They may generate inaccurate information, misunderstand unusual situations, or produce responses that create legal and reputational risk. Correcting those errors requires people. As a result, the true price of AI is not limited to token consumption. Companies must also account for implementation, cybersecurity, data storage, governance, monitoring, compliance, employee training, system integration, and human review. Once all of those expenses are included, the savings may be far smaller than executives originally expected. For now, artificial intelligence companies can continue absorbing some of the financial pressure through investor funding, but that period may not last forever. Enterprise customers are already asking more difficult questions about return on investment. Are employees genuinely producing more valuable work? Are companies increasing revenue? Are customers receiving better service? Or are organizations simply generating more content, more code, and more tokens without creating meaningful economic value? The future of artificial intelligence will depend on the answers. If the technology continues becoming more capable while also becoming cheaper, it could still transform nearly every industry. But if usage costs keep rising, companies may have to reconsider the assumption that automation is always the less expensive option. The debate may no longer be about whether artificial intelligence can perform a person's job. The real question may be whether a business can afford to let it. Because companies that once laid off workers to reduce expenses could eventually find themselves paying even more to operate the systems that replace them. Thank you for watching. Catch you in the next one.